Hi guys, Ivan here, and today I'm here with Herman Hansson for the Eman Games channel, and Herman just got second place at the remote Duel YCS with Beetroopers. So Herman, go ahead, tell us something about your decks, your deck, why did you pick the deck, and your matchups today.
Yeah, so I played Beetrooper, well, quote unquote Beetrooper. I think there's not that many Beetrooper cards in the main, but it should be sufficient to call like an insect toolbox kind of deck. And I played it because Retaliating and Sting Lancer are both like really good this format, and because they are so good, it means that you can play like so many hand traps in the main deck. And also like the deck is like it does something that most decks in the format cannot do. It like OTKs out of absolutely nowhere with on like no cards, like no follow up. But in reality, you have a lot of follow up. Like if you summon like an insect of Dasher, or even Asher Veiler of Dasher, you can access insects through like Hulk, and then it's so easy to kill with like access codes and Enforcer and Pin Burn, for example. It's like 8k. It's like really solid, I think, and I like playing rogue stuff, so it's a perfect choice for me.
And do you have any shoutouts before we get into the deck profile?
Shout out to my team Eman and shout out to Woff. I actually made this deck myself, so I don't have anyone to shout out for like cards. Really, that I was playing. I think there was like I played this deck at first time at a regional in Stockholm, as kind of a meme. It was like the day before, someone was like, "Do you want to borrow the core?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? I want to test it out." And I won that regional, so that worked really well. The list I used there is like pretty similar to this, but so I'm not gonna make a separate profile, but we can get onto it, I guess.
Sure, let's get started.
Yeah. Okay. So triple resonance insect. I don't know if I have to explain how broken this card is. Like it's absolutely broken. Like the add effect is not once per turn, and it's accessible through like engine through Picofalina. And like basically opening this like searches both retaliating and sting lancer, and both are like really insane hand traps. So yeah, and then triple retaliating. This card searches resonance. It's like the only search targets I have are like resonance and Gokipole, but basically always searches resonance. And because almost every single deck are now active like a spell on turn one, because of like Fusion Destiny, Bird Call, of course like Drytron, Meteonis, and Invocation and stuff like that. You can a lot of the time you can just summon this, and it's like the best hand trap in the entire game by far when you use it. And then it searches like the best starter in the entire game, also like by far. So like absolutely like incredible. I think in formats where like this card isn't live, I don't think this deck is nearly as good. But right now it's like almost always live to draw, and like insane to search. So yeah, and then one Gokipole. The combos get a lot worse if you draw it, but it is still like a one card Verte with Almirage and the Soul Troller, and obviously like a really insane card. I could maybe consider playing two of it, because I was siding out Neptune a fair bit post side, and if you're forced to banish this from the grave, it can be a bit hard to like grind, but most of the time it's fine. You put it back with Sting Dancer, so it's like perfectly fine to play one. Then we go to like the Battle Wasp engine. It's one Arbalest. This card like you search it with Sting, so you have this as follow up on your like next turn, which means that basically with all the Battle Wasps. So on turn 2, after like you revive this in opponent's turn with Seraphim, and then search this, and then this card on your turn is basically like a full OTK and combo by itself, which is like pretty cracked. And this is also like one of the main two ways of interruption. Like the engine itself doesn't put out like that many different interrupts, but one of the interrupts it does have is like Seraphim revive this on opponent's turn, and you'll always end on this engrave because of resonance foolishes like insects. So you go like for like double resonance to foolish on turn 1. And then Beetrooper part. This is like probably like this or this are like the best Beetroopers, because this is like the best extender, and it's like Ghost Ogre. So like it's actually like if you open like this and this on turn 1, it's actually not that terrible if you survive, because then you discard gets access to like Descent and Vertil next turn. And it's like I only play like 6 insects that just summon themselves, because I think all of the other ones are kind of bad. And I don't think opening too many of them is like particularly that great either. Like only some certain hands can really facilitate it. So yeah, I was only playing like 6 good extenders, which means you open 1 most of the time. Even if you don't open 1, it's fine because like retaliating is so good. And then I played 1 Neptune and 1 Assault Roller. So I think you need this card to grind overall, and it's like you either have to side it against like the grind matchups or you have to main it. And I was like, why not main it? It was totally fine. There was one game against Tri Brigade where I had like opening hand was like double retaliating Fusion Destiny pass, but he activated Fusion Destiny his turn and then retaliated Resonance. Went like access code plus this through Revolt, Enforcer, and Bell. So this is really good to like push damage and recycle Goki poles.
Important question, Herman.
Yep.
Where is the Scout Buggy? Why did you not play Scout Buggy?
I think Scout Bug is pretty bad because it locks you into insects on a normal summon, and I don't want to lock myself into insects that early.
Mm-hmm. So you think it was just
And I
overhyped
think
for no
I
reason?
don't think I need the starter either. I think Retaliating, Sting, and Resonance are all better starters, and that's like enough starters for insects.
Okay,
Because this
cool.
deck is honestly like a Enforcer deck. So you basically play an Enforcer deck, and then turn 2 you can just kill for everything because you have like 20 special summons. And then for the Beetrooper spell and traps, I played 2 Descent and 1 Flying Sting. I was playing 1 field spell, 1 Descent, but my friend was like, this field spell is actually really bad because it requires you to have Beetroopers in the grave, and the only Beetrooper that lands in grave is like the Link 2, which locks you, the Link 4, which locks you, or like Scale, which you don't always open, but this is like always good to search. And also this is like a mine out, which is like really important because this deck is like pretty bad into mine normally. If I play this event again, I think I would cut the counter trap because it's like never really live, and I think I would just play like the third descent instead because this card was like insane for me. And then Doomdozer is the last high level insect. You need it for like the turn 1 combos. It's really good to push damage. Hand traps. I play lots of hand traps and non-engine, like triple ash, triple veiler, like double veiler, sorry, double nib, and then triple impermanence. Shout out to OCD2 Nib Theory, by far correct. Like you never open 2 of them in like a dead matchup. Opening 1 is usually fine. And then you can side the third in against the matchup it's actually live against. And then Fusion Destiny and the 2 Garnets. I drew these a lot. This card in particular, a lot. But it worked out. Really insane for sure. I would not play this deck without Enforcer. It is an Enforcer deck, and getting to interruptions without Enforcer is too hard.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
DP is just too good. Too good.
Yeah, the BP is like way too strong.
BP is too good, yeah.
People were saying like the new Insect Fusion was really bad, but I don't know what they mean. Like Enforcer is insane.
BP.
Yeah, we can do side deck. I sided 2 Token Collector against Sword Soul. Because I already main so many hand traps, it's hard for me to side more than 4 cards. So I tried to have like 4 cards to side into most matchups, and then a bit more against back row. So against Sword Soul, I sided in this, a Nib, and either Gadarla or 1 Droplet, depending on if I thought they went for Protoss or not. Some people went Protoss, some people prefer Fleur, and I usually check that during game 1 to see which one they go for. If they go for Protoss, I'll side this in instead. So yeah. The third Nibiru, because I only main 2. Fine. 1 Kaiju, it's out problematic cards. This deck is really insanely bad against Flunder, so this is the insect Kaiju that's also win, so it can out the barrier statue. I don't side it against combo decks, but I do side it against towers decks, and Dragoon is really hard to out sometimes, so I side it for that. And then 2 droplets. I wanted Dragoon out, but honestly, this was really bad for me. I think in the future, like you might want to find a space to play like Super Poly or like something else, because this was just not good. Every time I drew it, it got judgmented, so it's like, what's the point? Should just hand trap instead and try grind. 2 draw, same theory as the other ones. Like I already have like enough cards against Rhydron, so I only started 2 draw. And then because game 1 against back row is difficult, I try to side like 6 good cards against back row. And I choose this over Storm because of Scythe. And then 1 IO based.
The Herman card.
Yeah, I mean, I know I lost the IO in the finals, but this deck mains 5 spell cards, so honestly, it's the same as him like drawing like Judgment or something. It's like I'm not too mad about it. I'm more mad about the Veiler, if anything. Extra deck, 1 Spider for Nibiru token and the Descent token. 1 Almirage. It's a really good card in this deck because it lets you normal summon Resonance and then search Sting Lancer. So if you only open Resonance, Resonance still gets you like 1 interrupt and then 2 bodies on the next turn. And if you open like Destiny and Resonance, you summon Resonance first. So regardless if the Ash Resonance or Ash Destiny, you will always get Enforcer. So very, very important. Linked twos. It's a toolbox deck, so it's gonna be like 2 Armor Horn, 1 Pico. And the second one just never comes up, so you don't need it. Verte for Enforcer. Hulk. If you open like sometimes on turn 2, when you like use Dasher, you hit like a Veiler or Ash. Or on turn 1, if you open Sting plus Destiny, you can go Sting into Pin, and then you make Hulk. And then you Hulk into Seraphim Papillon. And that gets you an interrupt opponent's turn. So just Hulk, or like Destiny plus the Sting ends on Seraphim plus Enforcer. So this card was really important to like do that as well at OTK. Shout out to the guy in my city who said he had this. I had to walk in the snow for it, but really, really appreciated. Like if you saw it on my Twitter, for example, just going for a struggle to find a win. But yeah, it's like really important against Sword Soul primarily and against birds because it lets you ladder for free. And half of your insects are wind, so it's like live a lot. Seraphim. I played 2 of this because it is like the best one to unclog you from the insect lock. And often you make 1 of this turn 1 and then 1 of this turn 2 to make access code. So the second one is actually like really important. And it's just like one of the main ways to get to interruptions. Unicorn for utility. This to turn 1. This is how you like unlock yourself from insects, because you make like Pico Felina and Armor Horn into this, and then you tribute this to summon Sting Lancer. And then Sting Lancer sort of like Descent, and that gets you to like a Link Spider into Verte into Enforcer. And it's also like for some decks, it's like really hard for them to out this, like against Striker, for example. So that's good there. Apollo also like utility link access code cracked. It's like I feel like access code and like this is like the most important ones when it comes to like killing and like when it comes to win con. And this is like one of the best cards like in the entire game that's like ever like the game has like ever seen. Like so insane. The follow up is so insane. Like the combos, like even there where you go like so man, you can like Seraphim revive Gokipole and then you pop Gokipole with this to search retaliating also works. There's just a lot of stuff you can abuse with its effect. And yeah, that's everything, I guess.
Again, Herman, congratulations. And yeah, we wish to see what you do next.
Yeah, thank you. I'll try and win next time.
See
So
you
annoying.
guys.
See ya.